Yes, this is Bill Jones with recapturefederalism.com. Coming to you today from Freedom's Nest. And wherever you have a free man in the United States, you have a freedom's nest. Individual freedom and liberty. I want to talk to you today about communism. But it's about the notice of treason I sent on January 25th, 2016. The 7 parties I sent them to received them all by February 1st. It's now the 23rd of February. 23rd of February. I haven't heard anything from them, and I didn't expect to hear from them. It's very disappointing, frustrating. Can't get the free press, which we don't have any free press in the United States. It's all party press media, Communist Party. And that's why it's treason. And I'm going to go through it, 91 pages, and I'm not going to get in to dwell on anything. I've done videos. I'm going to do videos more on this stuff, individual areas. Continue to do them. Might go on the speaker circuit too, I guess, because it's that's the only way to get the stuff out to the people and get them to respond. Because that's what we need to do. We need to have, we the people, individuals, contact their sheriff's police, state police in their individual states, and file for treason, criminal complaints. It's against the law. Treason's against the law and the federal constitution and all the state constitutions. And communism is a brutal, political, totalitarian society system, political system, religious system, and I go through this in the notice. But when I do, as I do, because it's in the latter part of the notice, I have this. But you need to understand this. Because this is from page 26 of the Communist Manifesto. But communism abolishes eternal truth and abolishes all religion and all morality. It's enemies of the Constitution. It's communism. Enemies of the Constitution, and it's the people in power have abolished the Constitution of the United States and reinstated in its place, put in its place, I should say, the Communist Manifesto and the guidelines of the Communist Party in 1921. Then on page 34 of the Communist Manifesto, finally they labor everywhere for the union and the agreement of democratic parties of all countries. Unions and democratic parties of all countries. The communists disdain to conceal their views and aims. They openly declare that their ends can be attained only by the forcible overthrow of all existing social conditions. Let the ruling classes tremble at the communistic revolution. The proletarians have nothing to lose but their change. They have a world to win. Working men of all countries unite. And as I say, in the notice, May 4th, 1886, Working Men United, they killed 7 police officers in the city of Chicago. That's the start of the insurrection. It's been going on. I have a thumbnail, you see it, with this. The Sacred American Insurrection and Revolutionary Movement. It gives you a breakdown of where we're going, and Romans chapter 13, the Holy Bible, and then we the federal system of America, And then on the other side you have communism. Love and hate. Love, Federal System of America, Good Government, Chapter 13, Romans 13. And then you have hate, violence, combat, illegality, class warfare under communism. And that's what you do. They've enslaved the entire society, most of the world. We have treason here in this country. There's treason in Europe, wherever, Asia, wherever the communism is at. That is the historical experience of communism. Is enslavement, death, destruction. Cambodia, for instance, the latest one we had where the communists took over. And they had Cambodian killing fields. Now they're just enslaved. The killing fields have stopped. But they're brutal. They're brutal people. They're immoral, immorality, and they enslave people. But I'm going to go through, as I say, 90 pages. And notice the treason against the United States and all 50 states, 18 U.S.C., Chapter 115, Section 2382. That's misprision of treason. And I follow misprision of treason. We've given notice to 7 people. John Roberts, Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States. Paul Ryan, Speaker of the United States House of Representatives. Mitch McConnell, Majority Leader of the United States Senate. James Comey, Director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Bruce Rauner, Governor of the State of Illinois. Rita B. Garman, Chief Justice of the Illinois Supreme Court. Leo Smits, Director of the Illinois State Police. I started out, like I do with my videos, you see them. I, William R. Jones, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, so help me God. And then in bold I put, there are so many domestic enemies of the Confederacy of the Compound Republics, enslaving the, quote, we the people, unquote. I then have a paragraph where I go over the time that I was in the Navy in the 60s and how I was discriminated against. I then have Romans 13, King James Version. Good government. That's where the establishment of the United States government comes from, based on the authority of God. Religious freedom. Religious freedom was very important to the founders, because in most places you don't have it. The world is a corrupt place. And I am after this, I have in red, government based on authority from God, based on a Judeo-Christian moral code. And they replaced the Constitution with the Communist Manifesto, which is immorality. We have the Augsburg Confession from 1530. Article 16 of Civil Affairs. And the important thing is that the last paragraph, or in the last paragraph, the last sentence, therefore Christians are necessarily bound to obey their own magistrates and laws, save only when commanded to sin, for then they ought to obey God rather than men. So here we need to not be obeying the laws of the Supreme Court, the legislature. They're immoral laws. They're from the Communist Manifesto. And we are government based on the authority from God, based on a Judeo-Christian moral code. Then I have the demands of the Communist Party, written in 1848, from the Communist Party demands. 17 of them. They're all important, but there's 13. That's where we get separation of church and state. Okay? Separation of church and state. Again, Communist Manifesto destroys all peaceful religions. replaces it, displaces it, supersedes it. Then I have a Nicene Creed. We believe in one God, the Father, the Almighty, maker of heaven and earth, of all that is, seen and unseen, government based on authority from God, based on the Judeo-Christian moral code. Okay? Then we have Federalist Papers. Federalist Papers, one thing I have highlighted here, in a Republican government, the legislative authority necessarily predominates. Don't have it in there, but the three branches of government comes from Isaiah 33, verse 22. The Lord is our judge. The Lord is our lawgiver. The Lord is our king. The Lord is our Savior. Then I have highlighted, if principles on which these observations are found to be just, as I persuade myself they are, and they are applied as a criterion to the several state constitutions and to the federal constitution, will be found that if the latter does not perfectly correspond with them, the former are indefinitely less able to bear such a test. That's what we have. Democratic centralism. Get rid of the state constitutions, overbearance from the federal government, ignoring the Constitution, replacing them with the Communist Manifesto and the guidelines of the Communist Party. Government based on, after 51, say government based on authority from God, based on the Judeo-Christian moral code again. Then we have Washington's farewell address. And I don't think I highlighted in there. They, up until 1982, they used to read the opening session of Congress. They used to read this, and they stopped doing that. They ignore what George Washington said. He has about 6 paragraphs about the political parties, not the fallacy of the political parties. How these, if they want to have political parties governing in the United States, it's up to the people. They have to choose to do that with an amendment. No amendment has ever done this. No amendment has ever done this. But we'll get into that in a little bit when we have political parties were initiated by the second president of the United States, John Adams. Also in the George Washington's farewell address, he talks about morality. After he talks about the political parties, right after that he talks about morality and religion. And he states that you have to have morality, you need religion. That's where you get the morality from. And that's where, as I read, the Communist Manifesto gets rid of all religions, eternal truths, and all morality. You have an immoral society. And that's where you get the enslavement of the American people. And I've written here, government based on authority from God, based on the Judeo-moral code. That's what we have. That's what we have. Then right after that I wrote, the American political parties have no legal basis or authority to operate in the United States. Marbury versus Madison was a treasonable decision interjecting political parties into the American governing process. That decision introduced anti-American, anti-constitutional, anti-Republican principles, enslaving the American people. The safety valve of all Republican constitutions is the Treason Clause. the Treason Clause, Article 3, Section 3 of the Federal Constitution and the Federal Statutes, 18 U.S.C., Chapter 115, treason, sedition, and subversion. It's not enforced. Misprision of treason not utilized by any courts and lawyers, even though there has been an active insurrection since May 4th, 1886, Haymarket Square, Chicago, where 7 Chicago police officers were killed by the Communist Union rioters. Then we have the U.S. Constitution, Article 3, Section 3, the Treason Clause. We have, since I sent it to Ronner, I'm from Illinois, relating to the Illinois Constitution. We have the Illinois treason and related offenses. Treason, State of Illinois. Then we have misprision of treason, also in Illinois. Person owing allegiance to the state commits misprision of treason when he or she knowingly conceals or withholds his or her knowledge that another has committed treason against the state. And that's why I'm giving notice. I don't want to conceal this. I have knowledge that the Democratic Party, along with the Republican establishment, are committing treason in the state of Illinois and in the United States. And then we have advocating the overthrow of government. This is where we have the supposed free press, which we don't have anymore. Supposed to be telling the truth and telling us about things, keeping us informed, and their political party press, media. Okay? And a person who advocates or with a knowledge of its contents knowingly publishes, sells, or distributes any document which advocates or with knowledge of its purpose knowingly becomes a member of any organization which advocates the overthrow or reformation of the existing form of government of this state by violence or unlawful means commits unlawful means. They're committing treason. I read it. Forcible overthrow. They're going to have we the people tremble. They're treasonous. They're terrorist. There's terrorist laws in the state of Illinois also, 2012, not being enforced. The public officials supposed to ensure the public has domestic tranquility. And you can't have domestic tranquility when you have communist chaos all the time. And then I've written after this, we have had an overthrow of the entire Republican principles of America by Communist Democratic Party, failure of the political party supremacy to honor their oaths, and have traded the Constitution, replacing it with the Communist Manifesto. Then we have the draft of the Communist Confession of Faith. Communism is a religion, an atheistic religion. It eliminates all other religions. It supersedes all other religions. And they say that in here, question 22. 22. Right here. Do communists reject existing religions? Answer: all religions which have existed hitherto, were expressions of historical stages of development of individual peoples or groups of peoples, but communism is a stage of historical development which makes all existing religions superfluous and supersedes them. There they go. Overthrowing good government based on the authority of God. In 1860, I've written here, 1860, the Democratic Party platform overthrew the Republican principles of America. Okay. I have an 1860 Democratic platform. And I say again, afterwards. In 1860, the Democratic Party platform overthrew the Republican principles of America and replaced it with the Communist Manifesto, 1848. Okay, let me see what we got here. Okay, page 26 of the Communist Manifesto. What I read before, but communism abolishes eternal truths and all morality. They also have the 10 planks of the Communist Party. Page 26. Then I also have finally they labor. That's from page 34 of the Communist Manifesto. Working men of all countries killed 7 Chicago police officers May 4th, 1886. Working men unite. Then we have the principles of communism. Replacing American liberty with communist liberation. Okay. And then we get to 14. In fact, and this is a quote from question 14, principles of communism. In fact, the abolition of private property is doubtless the shortest and most significant way to characterize the revolution in the whole social order, which has been made necessary by the development of industry, and for this reason is highly advanced by communists as their main demand. Abolition of property, private property. And I've written, destroying the American property rights. Question 18, what was the course of this revolution? The democratic constitutions. Good government is Federalist 51 is a compound republic. Republican principles, Republican constitutions, not democratic. They have a democracy, and we're not a pure democracy. Federalist Papers 10. Then there's 13 statements or demands or goals or aims of the Communist parties. 1. Limitation of private property through progressive taxation, having an inheritance tax, abolition of inheritance through collateral lines, brothers, nephews, etc. Forced loans. National debt's a forced loan. Trillions of dollars. Enslaving my grandchildren. Enslaving me, my wife, my 2 daughters, and my 6 grandchildren. Enslavement, enslavement, enslavement. Then we have number 3. Confiscation of possession of all immigrants. That's the outgoing people. If you leave, you're going to take everything. You're going to leave everything here. You're going to leave. You can't take your property. Formation of industrial armies, especially for agriculture. That's a 5. 6. Centralization of money and credit in the hands of the state through a national bank with state capital, suppression of all private banks and bankers. And that's what they've done. They've neutralized or abandoned or confiscated the usury laws within the state, federal level, Federal Reserve, the federal bank. Where are the savings and loans at? We used to have savings and loans. They're gone. State laws for banking. There are no state banks anymore. Increase the number of national factories, workshops, education of the children from the moment they leave their mother's care, and the national establishment of national cost, education, and production. Common Core. You got the communist teachers teaching their children. That's enslavement. Brainwashing, propaganda, and agitation. Number 4 of the guidelines of the Communist Party is 1921. Construction on public lands of great places of communal dwellings. They took the land from the Indians. Now they're taking it from the cowboys out there in Oregon and Utah, Nevada, Arizona. They'll do it by force. And if the people resist, demonstrate, well, they kill them and jail them. But they didn't enjail any Occupy Wall Street people funded by George Soros, the communist. Oh no, that's okay. That's okay. But oh, them cowboys out there trying to hang on to their private lands. Treason. Equal inheritance rights for all children born in and out of wedlock. Rid of the traditional marriage. And that's farther on down the line here. Finally, this is what I've written. Finally, all capital, all production. Oh no, this is the last paragraph in question 18. Finally, all capital, all production, all exchange have been brought together in the hands of the nation. Private property would disappear of its own accord. Money will become superfluous, and production will so expand, and man so change that society will be able to slough off whatever its old economic habits may remain. Yeah. Slough off. Democratic centralism through political party supremacy. Democratic centralism through political party supremacy, like you have here in the city of Chicago, Cook County, urban areas, all over the country. 19, question. World Common, I wrote here, World Common and Progressive Alliance. We'll get that into that later on, Progressive Alliance. We have treason going on throughout the world against all Western countries. They have common law, informal law, the Treason Act, the British Treason Act of 1351. And that's the entire British Commonwealth has the treason laws. But the Democratic Party belongs to this Democratic Alliance. We'll get into that. Question 21. They destroy the traditional marriage, same-sex marriage, homosexuality, and what have you. And I wrote in here, destroying traditional marriage, replacing with same-sex marriage, and homosexuality sanctioned by political party supremacy, religious persecution. Everything is religious persecution. 22, existing nationalities. What's the attitude of communism and existing nationalities? Communism abolishes country and nationalities. Page 25 of the Communist Manifesto is open southern border and illegal foreign invasion, immigration, insurrection. Page 23, what's the existing? And I said religious persecution. Here they changed this. Before they say it was suppressed, and now it's a disappearance. Okay? And I write here, class warfare, so much for equal protection under the laws. See you later, Progressive Alliance. In America, we're a democratic. This is from the Manifesto. In America, where the democratic constitution has already been established. I put that in red. We're a republic. We're a republic, compound republic, within the framework of the Confederacy. Thank you, Marbury versus Madison destroyed the Federalist Papers 51. And that's way back. He was the second president of the United States that did that. Still that. Eight sections, operating manual for communism. This is the Communist Manifesto, or the Guidelines of the Communist Party, 1921. 8 sections. The general area. General democratic centralism, communist obligation to do work. This is your community organizers, like the President of the United States. Why weren't we told that by free press? Because we don't have a free press, because that's a party press. Propaganda and agitation, and that's all part of the party press and everything. No truth. No truth. No one speaking up for the Republic. We have propaganda and agitation, political propaganda, political brainwashing, thought reform, organization of political struggles, the party press, general structure of party organism, and combination of legal and illegal work. They admit that they do illegal work, and they do illegal work. Clandestine operations and secret operations. That's the targeting of police, military, and that's all violations of the 53 is line item 53 is where it starts, section 8. And it talks about clandestine, secret operations, illegal and illegal work. And that's what you have, government by illegal party. Clandestine operations. Section 8 is very important. This is what I write in. Section 8 is very important. They admit they are corrupt. They are secretive, using clandestine tactics, even targeting police, military, and other public officials for assassination. Over 20,000 police names on their memorial. Talk about Lifton's reform, thought reform. Or of sacred science, as an example, global warming, and it's a confidence game. Confidence game. Loaded language of communism. Example, global warming, climate change, blacks, Black Lives Matter, gays, same-sex marriage, progressive, liberation, human population control movement, revolutionary movement, etc., etc. That's what you have had for 130 years. Civil rights movement, replacing, let's see, that's under doctrine over person, doctrine over the individual. See, good government's by the individual. An example, civil rights movement replacing individual human rights, civil rights division of the DOJ through democratic centralism, communism. That's it. Dispensed existence. That's where you have the outsiders and the insiders. Outsiders are those, that's the, we the people. And the insiders are all those making profits, the 1%ers, and those making profits off of communism. And the insider, and it's the IRS, democratic centralism, used as examples. IRS punishing conservatives with inappropriate treatment, insiders, equal supporters of communism, totalism, outsiders, we the people. Then we get into Progressive Alliance. And they, for instance, Argentina, the Socialist Party, Australia, the Australian Labour Party, there's alliances, and the Democratic Party of the United States is part of this alliance, and they get involved in political parties. They're treasonist at worldwide world communism. And Israel, the Labor Party and the Maritz Party. And then there's the, well, I get the P here. There's a worldwide organization of this alliance. Palestine, the Fatah, and the Palestinian National Initiative. So they're playing both sides in Israel with the Labor Party and with the Palestinians with the Fatah and the Portugal Socialist Party, blah, 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 blah. And the USA Democratic Party. Democratic Party. Yep. Then, after I have the page 26, the Communist Manifesto, and page 34, which I read. Then we have 18 U.S.C. Chapter 115, all the different sections, which is 9 sections, and say, Democratic Party loyalty is with world communism, stop the enslavement of the American people, enforce the laws, recapture federalism, stop the insurrection, recapture the Republican principles of America. And with that, that's what we have, the 91 pages. And I had the my graphic of hate and love and the federal system of America versus communism. That was the 91st page. And with that, that's all I'm going to say about this on this particular video. We should be all talking about. Nobody talks about treason, sedition, or subversion. Nobody. But I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to try and get other people to bring it up. Can't get the press to do it. Oh no, they're solid. They're solid in with immorality and corruption. They're corrupt just like the politicians that they report. Woe be to the Pharisees and the scribes. The Pharisees at the time of Roman Empire in Israel. Woe be to the Pharisees. They were a political party, and the scribes were with them. Woe be the seven woes of the Pharisees and the scribes. You should read that sometime, Matthew 23. All we have, and I say it all the time, is political science. It's cover to cover in the Bible. Cover to cover has to do with psychology and philosophy and economics, politics. And with that, that's it for today.